We just would like to share with you what the university is doing in response to the fees must fall crisis, but most importantly, what the university has been doing over the last few years to make sure that it increases access to higher education for those that would normally not have had access to it. Firstly, we recognize that a lot of black kids, specifically in this country, have not been able to go to university. And the university, many years ago, when it started, it decided that one of the things that it is going to focus on was to make sure that it improves access. In 2014, for instance, and 2013 for that matter, in 2014 and in 2015, we found that 28% of the first year cohort that joins the university comes from Quintile 1 and Quintile 2 schools. And as you know, those will be the poorest schools in our country. And that translates to about 3,000 of the 10,500 first years coming from those schools. Now, to make sure that we facilitate their success at university, we implemented the first year experience, which is more than just orientation, but also support for those students to make sure that we level the playing field, if I could use that very often used phrase, to make sure that they can compete almost equally to kids that come from more privileged backgrounds. What does it mean? It means that we have a lot of tutors that are available for first year students. We have what we call residents academic assistants, which get allocated first year students in each residence, and their job is to support the first years academically to make sure that they succeed. And to show the results of this, over the last couple of years, we've closed the gap of performance between black kids, if I could use that, and kids from a more privileged background. When it started, it was about 75% module completion rate for the other and about 88% module completion rate. Now it is has come very close to between 84% and 86%, averaging at 85.1% for the 2015 cohort and 84.9% from the 2014 cohort. So that gap is closing and we can see the improvement. So those are some of the things that UJ is doing to make sure that we improve on the issue of access. When it comes to finances, we've got the scheme that we have with Gift of the Givers, where Gift of the Givers provide 2 meals a day, every day for 10 months to those students that cannot afford to get themselves or to buy themselves food at our university. Food is prepared in a central location and transported to all 4 campuses, where those that need the food can access the food and then come and get fed. And in 2015, there was over 3,000, in fact, close on to 3,500 students that were assisted. I just would like to highlight that what we call registration fee, in fact, is the upfront payment of fees. Our registration fee is in the region of 600 rands, and then there's another 400-500 rands that is an IT fee. So the bulk of the 3,870 that is paid at registration at the university is going towards tuition fees. So the issue of that we charge registration fees, it is minimal, but it is something that we need to do to support and to make sure that the administrative costs of registration are covered. So to assist those that cannot upfront pay registration fees, in the 2015 financial year and years prior to that, the SRC established, with the help of the university, what we call the SRC Trust Fund, which in 2015 assisted 2,500 students with paying registration for them. So the fund at that time was about 10,000 rand, rather 10 million rands, and in 2016 that was increased, doubled to 20 million rands to assist 5,000 kids that would normally not be able to pay the registration up front to pay registration, register, and begin to study at university. Yes, the question does arise that says, how do we then assist them to make sure that they pay their fees? And that is where the university goes into a fundraising mode to make sure that we assist those students. In 2015, the university raised just under 40 million rands, 38 million rands to be exact, to assist students that are already studying but are unable to pay their fees to continue with the studies and or finish their studies. And the aim in 2016 is to raise 80 million rands towards that end. And to date, as at mid-February, the university has raised 21.5 million rands towards that end. And as I said, we hope to raise 80 million rands by the end of the year, which will make sure that quite a number of students that are not able to afford their fees get assisted. And this particular drive for 2016 is focusing on what we call the missing middle, or often referred to as those that are too poor to raise loans from the banks or too rich to be assisted using the NSFAS government fund as we know it. Additionally, because a lot of our students do not live on campus but live either in the city or at home, we've got inter-campus buses, 16 buses that run between our 4 campuses, making sure that our students are able to access campus. So they've got several stops in the city, in Johannesburg, to pick up those students that live in the city and save them the 500 odd rands a month that they otherwise would have had to pay to make sure they get either to the Doornfontein, the Eckland Park, or the Soweto campuses of the university. In 2016, all these schemes that I mentioned have been increased quite significantly, and we are going to rely on alumni to assist us in the fundraising initiatives that we have to make sure that we can assist even more students. But in 2016, the one thing that the university is proud of and grateful to the South African government on is that of the 17,000 students that applied for NSFAS funding, the 10,000 that qualified for funding were all granted funding. So there is no student at the University of Johannesburg who applied on time and was eligible for NSFAS funding who has been turned away. All the students have been funded for that. Additionally, we know about the outsourcing issues, the decent work and decent pay initiative that has been on the cards for quite a long time, but took life in October 2015, that the university has committed to insource all the 10,000 odd workers in cleaning services, gardening services, and security services at the university, to insource all of those by June 30, 2017. It is a long process, it is an involved process, and the work is happening at the university to make sure that by 2017, June 30, we've insourced all these 10,000 workers into the university, and we no longer have any outsourced workers from any of the outsourced suppliers, be it cleaning services, security services, and gardening services. What the university has also done is to alleviate the hardship that these outsourced workers suffer whilst the process is ongoing. Is in December 2015, the cleaning workers were each given a once-off payment of 2,500 rands, and from January 2016, they receive an additional 1,000 rands a month to make sure that we alleviate the financial stress that they have. And also, all the children of outsourced workers who qualify and have applied and been accepted at the University of Johannesburg will be allowed to study for free. And also any workers who who also qualify and have registered for studies at the University of Johannesburg or would like to register will be allowed to study at the university for free, similar to the other university workers or university employees that we have. The University of Johannesburg is very proud to have run exams in 2015 almost without incident, allowing all the students that were eligible to write exams at the time to both write exams but also to write supplementary examinations where it was desired for them to do so. Also the additional special examinations that had to be scheduled. We anticipate that in 2015, not only just anticipate, we know that we are going to have similar numbers graduate as we had in 2015. So we're going to have about 12,500 students graduate, undergraduate, postgraduate degrees, walking across that stage at the university. And we would like to congratulate them heartily. Not only that, but in surveys that we do, we know that 93% of our graduates will have gotten a full-time permanent employment within 12 months of their graduating. And that is the value of the University of Johannesburg qualification. So employers look forward to having University of Johannesburg employees join their workforce, and we congratulate you for having succeeded in your studies at the university and wish you well as you go and you realize your life dreams.
The University of Johannesburg. Rethink, reinvent.